We have learned how to conjugate many verbs in the present tense. We have also learned another tense. Do you remember what that was? It was le futur proche, the immediate future. Now we are going to learn another tense. It is the passé composé. It is the past tense. Passé composé. Now, for example, I eat apples. Okay? How would you tell this in the past tense? I ate apples, right? You can also say I had eaten or I was eating. All these are the past tense in English. Now in French, passé composé, the rule is you have to write the subject. So first you have to write the subject plus the avoir or être in the present. So I hope you remember these two verbs. I told you these two verbs are very important. These are the two verbs which we will be using in passé composé. So first we will have to write the subject followed by avoir or être conjugation in the present. I will tell you how to choose whether you have to use the avoir conjugation or être conjugation. So you will write the subject followed by avoir or être in the present tense plus the past participle of the verb. Past participle. This might sound new to you. It is very simple. I will tell you how to find out the past participle of the verbs. We have simple rules for those as well. So now let us just focus on this. First we will learn how to find the past participle, and after that we will try to write the sentence in passé composé. So shall we begin? Now I told you that there are three types of verbs. Now the first type of verbs are the ER verbs, right? Do you remember? ER verbs. Now can you say some of the ER verbs? For example, parler, right? Do you remember this verb? Yeah, it was the first verb that we learned. Parler means to speak. Now, all the ER verbs, for the ER verbs, the past participle. Now, what we are learning is the past participle. So, for all the ER verbs, we would remove ER and we would replace it with E and an acute accent. So, the past participle would be parler. Did you understand? I'll repeat it once again. For ER verbs, that is verbs that end in ER. They are a large group of verbs. I hope you remember the verbs. We would remove ER and replace it with E along with an acute accent. This here is very important, so don't miss that out. So this is the first rule. So what we are trying to learn here, we are learning how to find the past participle of the verbs. So if parler is your verb, in passé composé it becomes parler. So the E has an accent on top. Now the next type of verb. For IR verbs. For the IR verbs, for example, let us take finir. Do you remember the verb finir? It means to finish. So the rule for IR verb is you would remove IR and replace it with I. So this is your past participle. You will remove IR and replace it with I. So what are the verbs we learnt? For ER verbs, we would remove ER and replace it with E acute accent. For IR verbs, we will remove IR and replace it with I. So did you understand? Now let us see the next type of verbs. Now we have also learnt another type of verbs. They are the RE verbs, the verbs that end in RE. So in this case, we will remove the RE and replace it with U. So do you remember the verb descendre? Descendre, it means to climb down. So the past participle for descendre, we would remove RE and replace it with U. So have you understood the use of the past participle? Now this is how we write the past participle. So we have learnt one component of the passé composé. Do you remember the rule? It was subject plus avoir or être conjugation in the present tense plus the past participle. Now the subject is not a problem for us. We are just going to write it as it is. We have learned how to write the past participle of the verb. Here we have to write the avoir or être conjugation in the present tense. We know the avoir conjugation, we know the être conjugation. Now the problem lies in choosing which of these two verbs are suitable for which verb. For example, when a particular verb comes here, you will have to use avoir, and when another verb comes, you will have to use être. We are going to learn for which verbs we are going to use avoir and for which verb we are going to use être conjugation. I will now give you a list of verbs for which we will use each of these verbs.